welcome back to another episode of Behind the Bar. As per usual, I'm your host, Timmy Tayo, and I think I've just now come down from my high after watching Manchester United dramatically seal their passage into the semifinal against Lyon at Old Trafford. 7-6 on aggregate. And what a game we had. I mean, I think I experienced every single emotion watching that game, from anxiety to euphoria and everything in between, right? So much to unpack from that game. And I think all United fans are delighted with our season still going in the Europa League, still unbeaten. And dare I say, it is Manchester United's destiny to lift the Europa League this year. And so as always, we're going to break down our talking point from the game. And I think my first point, having had a chance to calm down and just reflect, I think that this performance and this result from this game has so many shades of our FA Cup win against Coventry City on the way to lifting that trophy. And which is why I think that Man United are destined to win the Europa League. Of course, it's a different competition, different season, different circumstances, but the vibes are so parallel from what we experienced last year to what we've seen in this quarterfinals. Of course, if you guys remember last season against Coventry City, Man United semifinal, 3 goals up against Coventry City in the second half, and before you know it, Coventry City mount a miraculous comeback and get the game to 3-3. Well, actually, it was 2-0, 2-2, 3-2, and then we equalized 3-3, and then finally went on to win the game via penalty shootout, and then, of course, beating Man City in the final to lift the cup. And after that sort of dramatic win, very similar to that game that we've seen, where Man United dominate the game, have a 2-goal lead, give up the lead, then get 2 goals down, mount a comeback, win the game in stoppage time, in extra time. I just can't hold myself back from feeling that this Europa League is ours and that we will be lifting this trophy at the end of the season. And so certainly more than wishful thinking right now with one of 4 teams left in the competition. And I've always said it, right, that if you get to the semifinals of any cup competition, you have every chance to win it as the rest of the other 3 teams left in the cup. So I think Man United can certainly ride this wave, stay on this high, and use that never say die attitude. Of course, it's going to be a significantly tougher game against Bilbao in Bilbao. Well, of course, 2 legs, Bilbao, Manchester, but the final that we know is in Bilbao for the Europa League, and it'll be great to be able to make it to that final and salvage our season. We've always said it, that the Europa League was the only thing we had to play for, and it almost ended with the way that things were looking, but thankfully, Man United were able to pull a miracle and finish the game 5-4 on the night and 7-6 on aggregate. My second point, when we kind of break down how Man United came back and won this game, I think it's safe to say that Casemiro was the catalyst, right? Let's go back into that extra time. Man United are down 4-2. And what happens? Casemiro is fouled in the box to get a penalty, which Bruno Fernandes converted to make it 4-3. Fast forward a few minutes later, Casemiro provides a lovely assist for Kobbie Mainoo, who then gets us into 4-4. A minute later, what happens? Casemiro plays a wonderful cross to the backstick for Harry Maguire to head home the winner, which gets us into the semifinal. So Casemiro, I'm here to give you your flowers. I talked about you on a previous video about how your improved performances have put you in the shop window and hopefully see you leave the club in the summer due to your high wages and your age. But I can't take away from what you've meant in the second half of the season and your contributions last night to getting this team. I mean, that was a championship display by Casemiro, literally grabbing the team by the scruff of its neck, earning a penalty, and then getting 2 assists in extra time to get the team into the semifinals. So kudos to Casemiro. I think he's only gone and solidified everything that we've said about his improved performances and what that means for his summer departure. I think now, and if he can keep this up, it just means that the price tag will go up for what we can sell him for, even at his age, from what we've seen him contribute to the team under Amorim since he's been back in the fold in the second half of the season. So great performance by Casemiro. And again, he was the catalyst for this comeback. My third point has to go to Maguire, who I think has been fully vindicated. We look back a few years back under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Casemiro was an £80 million signing, and eyebrows were raised, right? I mean, I think off that money alone, Leicester were able to build their state-of-the-art training facility off of that transfer. And it really looked like a failed move 2 years ago when you look at the performances that Maguire put in, when you look at the scrutiny. Of course, he had his off-field issues with the arrest in Greece, and it looked like he was going to be sold a couple times. But credit to Maguire. He's kept faith in his ability. He's kept his head high, and his performances have justified his inclusion in the team week in, week out. He's not always played, but when he has played, he's always given a good account of himself. We know his limitations, his pace, getting dragged out wide to defend is not a strong suit, but we also know his strengths, and they were on full display in this game. And I think in the last 2 seasons, he's been one of our best players. And for him to get that goal in Fergie time to send the team to the semifinals, I think, like I said, he's vindicated, he's justified, and I think he will go down, maybe not as a United, maybe not a legend, but I think every Man United fan is going to have fond memories from yesterday and from Maguire's time with how he's turned his career around to being the savior last night. So credit to you, Harry Maguire. And hopefully you all can go in and bring this trophy back to Old Trafford. My fourth point, I think we can now fully say that Kobbie Mainoo is a certified number 10. Kobbie Mainoo does his best work in and around the box. I know that initially when he broke into the team, Erik ten Hag played him as a box-to-box midfielder. Even Amorim at first tried to have him play in that deeper lying midfield role and one of the 2 pivots. But undoubtedly, when we look at Kobbie Mainoo's best moments in a Man United shirt, it's in and around the box, right? The goal against Liverpool comes to mind. The goal against Wolves comes to mind. And yesterday, I mean, just a great touch and finish in the box to get the team level. And I think there's only one position that Kobbie Mainoo needs to play from this point on, and that is in the number 10, undoubtedly. One of those 2 10 positions has to be Kobbie Mainoo's moving forward. That is his position. He solidified that. And I just don't want to see him in the pivot anymore. He doesn't have the legs, doesn't have the pace, doesn't really have the aggression defensively to play that role. But we know that in the 10 position, he's very skillful, one of our best dribblers, and he has an eye for goal. And so I think, again, he's a certified number 10. There's no need to experiment any further. We need to play Kobbie Mainoo in his preferred position. And finally, and more of the exciting news is that Amorim has promised that in the Premier League for the rest of these 5 or 6 games that are left, he is going to play the kids. And we've called for that for a long time. We've known that we're hopeless in the Premier League and there's really nothing to play for. And what better way to betting these kids to find out what these kids are made of, to find out what players can actually be graduated into the senior team to help planning for the summer, to help the budget, to help the transfer window. If we can recruit players from the academy into the first team, there's just no better way to get players in other than the academy. I know that transfers are huge and play a huge part in bringing players in, but when you look at the history of Man United, academy graduates is a fabric of this club. And so the likes of Kokonki, the likes of Morehouse, Cheeto, I mean, the list goes on for these kids that are now going to get a chance against Premier League opposition to prove themselves and show that they should be part of the squad going into next season. So I'm excited about that fact, and just a wonderful, wonderful game. Highs and lows, the ebbs and flows, and took so much out of me emotionally, but glad that at the end of the day, they made it work, they made it happen. And next up is Athletic Bilbao in the semifinals, and can't wait for that one. But that's it for me for today. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. Please subscribe, like, and share. It means so much as we grow the channel. Appreciate all of the support, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.